Hello, welcome back to Aston Martin in F1 Manager 2022, and it's Circuit Paul Ricard next, as Pierre Gasly goes home. He's got a development point, in fact, so I nearly said happy birthday. That's not what I meant. The ability to respond to events at high speed versus defending. I think we get the defending up to scratch first. In fact, how long is it till his next one? 2,600, and he gets about 700 a race, plus 200 a week. In fact, he's getting just shy of 1,000 on a race weekend and 200 on a not race weekend. So he'll have another 200 points by the end of this week and probably another 1,000 by the end of the next one. So it won't actually take him too long to get another point, I would imagine. There's not a lot for me to actively do here, just report on. That's more weekly money again. For £1,000 more a month, we get over £4,000 a week more. So seems a little bit of a no-brainer, that one. And actually, there was one thing I wanted to do after the last race. Yeah, I've decided that 60% is not good enough. So we were bamboozled by our weather report last time. Not having that again. Well, the results just zoomed by there. I thought it would pause on that at least. Okay, so 4 teams voted against this. Weirdly, Ferrari voted against it, despite the fact they are on pole quite often. But we've gained pole position bonus points and double points for the last race next season. The actual point scoring system didn't change, despite the text saying it being about historical point scoring systems being returned. It was actually just pole position and double points. Eyeing up third drivers, that's not coming down fast enough for my liking, really. Hulkenberg's salary is Hulkenberg's salary was more than Stroll's. If we get someone on $1 million or less a year, then we've already made the money to break the contract. In fact, he's got a development point, so it'd be rude not to. I'm sorry, Ollie, are you okay there? This is too long. I'm considering retiring soon. You're 20, sunshine. Doesn't really matter though. Okay, then he's accepted 3 years. It's going to cost us $3.5 million to break Hulkenberg's contract, and as much as I love Nico Hulkenberg, he's not going anywhere in the sport, unfortunately, anymore. So I'm going to get in what appears to be the most signable British driver. Now, we're always going to work very hard on him. Got decent accuracy and control to start with. Everything else needs building up. In fact, his overtaking defending isn't awful either. I know he's only 65 rated, and I know there's people like Piastri around, but I do want a Brit involved in our setup so far, and until Behrman becomes available. Admittedly, it's not too far before he becomes available, but Behrman, depending on his situation, I could put in the car straight away. Nice little boost to our hospitality too, and then we're at the race weekend already. So we'll just pop the finish position in again, because we seem to be okay on race day. It's just qualifying we're struggling in, so we'll leave qualifying alone.
It's Grand Prix time here in Le Castellet. The very first horseless carriage race was organised in France in 1894. And since then, well, the carriages have only gotten faster. For the Grand Prix here, Paul Ricard boasts a fine collection of low, medium and high-speed corners. The scene curve is taken at breakneck speed, right before heavy braking at Beausset. This is an all-rounder test for cars and drivers alike. There's nothing like a race weekend in Formula One.
As always, I'll see you for qualifying shortly. Looks like 2 penalties for Hamilton and Bottas. There were no shunts, so I think they are... Actually, I don't know what they are. Either they're early announcing parts changes, or there was a shunt I wasn't paying attention to. But yeah, we've struggled, but we did put very old engine parts in our card, so I don't know how much that's sandbagged, if it does at all. I imagine it does, so don't be too alarmed. Pierre does have a 99% setup. We just didn't send him out with enough time at the end to find out which way was 100 and which way was 98, so that was fine. I thought we might get lucky and hopefully find out which way this needed to go, but we'll just revert to the 99 and just make sure we've got the 99 in it. Because I don't know what happens if you send them out with a 0% if they somehow lose their bonuses. I'm not going to mess around with Pierre. Send him straight out. Give him a buffer to Vettel. Oh, Magnussen's actually came out basically straight away as well. That could be a problem for Gasly if Magnussen catches him. It's a problem for Magnussen if he catches him. I'm bored with Pierre just as Vettel goes wide and turn early on. I forgot the turn numbers already. But on turn 6, but on the second part of the straight, Mistral straight. Is it all the Mistral straight, or they just shoved a chicane in it for the F1 track? But through the long right-hander, Pierre stays on the track. I thought he was going wide there, finds the apex. This is a very tricky section, really. Magnussen, how close are you? He's kept a reasonable distance. He might have not been hindered by Pierre here. Seems to be going all right. Back on board as he crosses the line. Now. No. Where is the line? There. 134.1. It's already 7/10 slower than Magnussen. 7/10. Oh, I haven't put the engine parts in. And Vettel had a moment. So I've just remembered I forgot to change the engine before qualifying. Latifi's still slower. Gasly's actually only 2/10 off Ocon. He must have had a moment. I wasn't majorly hopeful of getting out of Q1 here. In fact, I'll send Pierre out now, and as soon as he's out, I'll make sure Vettel gets out. Gasly's going to pop in the gap behind the McLarens, and as soon as this Mercedes is in line... Oh, Vettel's actually going to come out... I thought he was already coming out. Behind the AlphaTauri of someone, but the AlphaTauris are marginally faster, and he's got, crucially, the Williams behind him. We'll be on board with Pierre. Latifi's leading the race here, which is... qualifying. Going to hinder Verstappen, I imagine. But on board with Pierre as he starts his final flying lap with the dud engine in. Can't believe I've done that. But through the first sector, he goes into... And actually, I don't know the turn numbers precisely because there's a slight kink in that straight. So I don't know if that counts as one. This is turn 6, though, I think. Onto 7, onto the Mistral straight. Is he at least going faster than his previous lap? No. New tyres. Q1 is over. Sebastian Vettel at least has done a better first sector, but of course he has because he just hasn't gone off this time. That's all he needed to do. Yeah, who have you got behind you? That's an Alfa Romeo. Right up your chuff. Better in his second sector, though, is Pierre. Still stayed on the track there. Again, I thought he was going wide. My heart's in my mouth every time they go around that corner, just because the animation is a tiny bit janky. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Alfa Romeo. This is a qualifying session. Stay behind. How rude. Well, Vettel's going faster and Gasly's been ruined here. Whoever that was, Bottas, probably, because he's the fast one. He's just killed Gasly's chances of getting past Latifi in this session. Sebastian Vettel, though, about to cross the line. At the very least, can someone get some pride here and be faster than... No. Okay, well, the bad engines are in these cars right now. We do have the bad engines. At least both of them are out. Williams, I mean, but at least both Williams are out. Worst thing is, Bottas has got a penalty.
The time has come to fight it out. It's race day.
The weather is very overcast here, and teams are staring at the sky, watching for the first sign of rain. Strategies might have to be quite flexible going into today's race.
Absolutely right. So brace yourself for a fantastique conclusion to the French Grand Prix.
Just clarify, probably not going to be rain. I'm just thinking, it's basically guaranteed we're going to need a new engine at some point. We can run these two in practices, we can run these two in the races, and that might see us through the remainder of the season. We'll do same with the ERS. We'll give Sebastian a completely new car, effectively. The gearboxes, we still had one unused without actually incurring a penalty, so we're just going to put those in for this race, so we might as well give them the best chance of everything in the process. And then if we do need to take a gearbox later on, we can do. But as for strategy, yeah, the issue is the hards. I'm not going to faff around. I'm just going to go medium hard on both, with Seb coming a lap later because I think he's a little bit kinder on his tyres. And they're still starting 17, 18 apparently. I guess those two who are taking penalties are taking completely new everythings. Or it's just not activated yet.
It's a somewhat overcast day for the drivers, who've now taken position on the grid. There we have Pierre Gasly. They'll be starting the race from the bottom half of the grid, so there's a fair bit of ground to make up. And for the second driver, it's Sebastian Vettel. With their starting position in the back 10, they'll have their work cut out for them. Will their hard work pay off today? This is
Probably
it.
not.
It's time for the French Grand Prix.
Now,
It's lights out, and away we go.
almost interrupted Crofty there. That's my bad. How are we on 80% charge before we've even done anything? Well, what I was going to say is there should be a Mercedes and a Alfa Romeo in front of us in the form of Hamilton and Bottas that could help us pick through the crowd or cause a problem.
Don't think we can't do anything.
Stay cool, man. You're doing a good job.
I don't know whether this is going to help or hinder us, as everyone, once again, just stops going into a corner. We might as well watch from on board with Pierre as he stares in the back of Bottas, who's then watching Lewis Hamilton struggle to get past Latifi, who's already 1.4 seconds off Mick Schumacher. But into the chicane we go, and somehow Lewis Hamilton is still behind Nicholas Latifi. Pierre's looking on the outside of Bottas. He's on hard tyres, which might again be part of the problem for Lewis, but Gasly's powered past Bottas somehow there. Lewis is on mediums. So actually that's not the problem for Lewis, it seems.
Like Aston Martin.
What I'm hoping for here is being able to follow Lewis Hamilton through the pack with Pierre, because Lewis should be faster than the majority of the cars here. In fact, he's faster than everyone up to 7th. I didn't check, but it looks like both AlphaTauri started in the top 10. Not great news, but at least both McLarens are 11th and 13th and outside the points right now. Really, right now, I think it's becoming a two-way fight between ourselves and McLaren. And now we've completed the first lap. Hello again. Lewis cleared Latifi there as well. That was a failed attempt, apparently. Oh, it's Vettel's failed attempt on Bottas behind. But Pierre, looking at Latifi now. Albon's still ahead of Mick Schumacher. Well, that might be partially because Mick Schumacher's got to look in his rearview mirror now as well. But it's Pierre Gasly on the back of Nicholas Latifi. Down the Mistral straight, switching onto the inside, on full deploy, not gaining a single inch. Although, outbrakes him. 91 braking for Pierre Gasly, 91 braking.
Good job.
So that should be Pierre past Latifi. And in fact, Vettel's got Latifi somehow. We'll rewatch that just to see how Vettel got on the back. Because Vettel's got through Bottas and Latifi here. Oh, so Latifi closes off Bottas and gives Vettel the run on the outside instead. Thank you, Nicholas, actually. You provided us with the perfect opportunity to get past. Now, Gasly, you need to get on the back of Hamilton. We should be alright through this section by those things. There's probably going to be an element of Concertina through this section. And indeed, Gasly is within 1 second. DRS won't start till the end of next lap, although there will be DRS on the Mistral straight halfway through the lap, so it's crucial that we get within the second here. And now we can probably just stop pushing, and we just allow DRS to take us through the pack, as Latifi has been dropped by Vettel already. That's what I'm saying, like, they qualify okay now, but in the race, boom, just gone straight away. Alexander Albon is in the pack, so that's what's holding him there. Provide an opportunity for the Williams to fall out of the pack, and they will take it. Ricciardo's up in 11th, though. He's struggled in races recently and just fallen off the back normally. So, again, I think the fact he started that far up has helped him. I'm trying to work out how much we need to push here, because there is a little bit of wiggle room, but that's wiggle room on a three-level push. I feel like we're going to have to bring down our aggression a stage.
Yeah, take it easy.
Bottas has got past Latifi behind, probably through the DRS. Someone went wide up there, or at the very least they're defending quite wide. I think they're just defending wide. As Pierre looking at the back of this Mercedes still, who's trying to get past the hard-tired Mick Schumacher. In fact, we'll just double-check who started on mediums, who's on our strategy, and who's on one of the other two. Looks like half the field are on the medium-hard. It's completely unable to tell who's doing hard, medium, or hard-soft, of course. But that's 4 laps down. Sainz is not actually in the fight for first at the moment. He's fallen off and has 2 cars for company. Magnussen is leading the train all the way to Bottas. From 7th to 19th, we're in 1 train. And Latifi's by himself. Oh, bless him. Only took 4 laps. Well, only took 3 full laps. He tries. Right, Hamilton. But the fact we're just in 1 long train is going to cause problems until someone breaks from tradition and falls out of it. We're just going to have to conserve our tyres a little bit more, but hopefully the DRS helps.
Okay.
Because there are 2 long DRS straights. The rest of it's through tight, twisty sections, which we're okay in. It's really the straights that we need the help on. Vettel does have Bottas for company, which could be problematic. Oh, Lewis did clear Mick Schumacher, and now Lewis is taking Alexander Albon and maybe providing an opportunity for Mick to look at Albon too. So Hamilton's up to 14th now. Miles will save fuel whilst we're in this train and hopefully not in danger of falling out of it. Kind of want Mick to have a look at Albon here because I think we can clear Albon easily. I'm actually kind of concerned we're not going to get top 15 today. I'm kind of concerned we're just going to be 17, 18 with the Williams behind us eventually. I mean, Pierre's in a decent spot. Bottas got Vettel behind. Pierre's in a decent spot. We can just get the line. Lewis is looking at Norris ahead. We don't need to watch Vettel being overtaken. We know how it works. It was on the straight. But we're just waiting for this train to break somewhere, and it's just not doing so. Albon is the nearest it's getting, but even here, everyone just concertinas back up again. I think we just bide our time, keep an eye on the deltas, and just see if this train breaks anywhere. Vettel's marginally in danger, but he seems to be okay. We'll just tell Vettel to push on the fuel to make sure he doesn't lose out here. This is why we kind of banked the fuel a bit. Oh, might need to push on tyres briefly. It's just becoming a game of cat and mouse with Vettel. Oh god, Gasly now needs to pay attention as well. It's just become a game of just managing the gaps. In fact, I think Velmar got back in here actually. We might be okay. Oh, we just rejoined the actual action as Bottas gets past Gasly. So we now have to order Vettel to stay behind to make sure nothing goes problematic here. I appear to have forgotten to bring Gasly back on tyres and fuel at some point. We are ahead of the curve on everyone, which isn't great. I'm wondering if we just go... The pit stop's 27 seconds. I don't think a 2-stop is anyway viable, is it? I mean, that's only 6 seconds longer overall, but we're making an extra pit stop. I mean, in fact, that last one could probably go proper aggressive, like. But I just feel like Vettel's not going to make any headway at all unless we make some kind of decision to try something. I mean, maybe if he goes hard in the medium stint. Oh, that could be good. Actually, if he goes hard on the medium stint, I wonder if actually if we then push the second pit stop a little later, we could probably bring it in early as well and push on this set whilst we're at it. Oh no, of course, the only problem is we're stuck in this train, so it doesn't really matter. We're kind of stuck with the whims of whoever is leading this. I think it's Pierre that we need to try this with. Hyper-aggressive two-stopper versus a slightly more conservative one-stopper for Vettel, who is actually already having a little bit more trouble being on that conservative. You know what, we're going to switch them both, I think. I just need to make sure Vettel's a lap behind. What are we doing here? We're doing 18 and 41, so do 19 and 42 then. Because we'll break free here, because we'll pit way earlier than anyone else. And we'll harvest fuel in this process as well. Because they're only going to come in about 3 or 4 laps time, so we'll harvest fuel for when that happens. Because we're going to lose this. We're just fighting to stay on this train right now, which we're not really doing at this point. Just keep an eye with Gasly, whether or not he stays in this train. So what I'm trying to do here with the pair of them is push the tyres and then harvest where I can. You can see we've already managed to harvest like a quarter of it. Just make sure we're not harvesting during the DRS sections. We've taken the extra engine, so we don't need to really worry about the engine too much. Then harvest through this section, where we're slightly better anyway. And we pit Pierre soon for those hards, and we go aggressive on those hards. We're trying to get the undercut on those hards on this entire train. We're trying to undercut this entire train because 18th, 19th, we've only got Latifi behind us. And Latifi started on mediums. And Latifi started on mediums, so it won't be too long before he pits after us anyway. Because we've just pushed our tyres too hard to begin with to make our actual original strategy work. So we might as well go hyper-aggressive as Bottas nearly takes out the Haas. So we're still within range here. No big deal. We've harvested a bit. Because we're pushing, we're staying within range. We're keeping fuel nice as well. We'll just stay neutral on the main straight because we don't want to lose this too much. We're bad on the straight to begin with, so... In fact, just by purely pushing the tyres, Gasly is now on the back of Mick Schumacher. And Bottas got Mick at some point, and Mick's fallen off the train, so... Gasly... so Mick's a little bit of a sitting duck come the next DRS section. We'll watch this move and see if it occurs. Vettel's in DRS range of Gasly as well, so it won't be possibly too difficult for him to follow through either. And we've got a little bit of VRS in the bank now. I'm not going to continue to harvest because it wouldn't be the worst thing to clear Mick Schumacher here because he might be holding us up. Although I think, actually, this might be the optimal lap to pit Gasly anyway. It is. So we make the most of this. So we don't even take the tyres anywhere near 45. The Gasly took Mick relatively easily there. There's no DRS on this lap as well, so it's kind of important we make this strategy work now because we ended up 2 seconds off. There's not really that much chance. I mean, I suppose we could deploy to get back in line. But there's no chance we're going to get to the DRS line. I'm slightly worried Mick will just ruin this plan by trying to make a move here. He hasn't, thankfully. So yeah, Gasly. Now... I mean, actually, this entire train is running to the whims of Sonoda. If it was being pulled along by Hamilton, I'd be slightly more concerned. And all the medium runners out of this are going to peel out of it eventually as well, so Magnussen, Stroll, Hamilton, Ocon. Which might break it up a bit. So we'll just stay on focus with Pierre Gasly, who temporarily goes ahead of people just because of the layout of the track. We go on to hards with Vettel as well. Aggressive two-stop. Ahoy! Latifi came in the pits anyway. What are they doing with Latifi? Are they trying to make... Are they trying to have Latifi run to the end on just one set of hards? Because there was no two-stop strategy for the AI. We can also deploy on the outlap as well. I presume Vettel is outside of any DRS. Oh no, Vettel's got the DRS on Mick Schumacher, hasn't he? Fortunately, he's through the chicane without passing Mick, I don't think. No, he didn't. There's no real point telling him to deploy now because he's just going to peel into the pits at the end of this section anyway. So we'll watch with earnest as the medium runners peel into the pits. We've obviously got to try and make up a pit stop, but apparently the strategy overall is 7 seconds faster. So fingers crossed. There's Latifi in the background. Hi, Nicholas. Seb's time in the pit lane.
Copy.
Temporarily up to 9th. I love that.
He's picking us up.
If we're going to get anything out of this race, we need to bypass some of this train.
Do what you can to keep
Or,
the tyres cool.
hopefully, all of it.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully the deployment of Gasly makes him clear. Slightly concerned. Pierre's ahead. Because that could have been a problem with the don't fight, which is still on. And now you deploy. In fact, I may just save. I may save a lap's worth of deploy on Gasly. We'll just do the 1 lap of deploy. And then Vettel's deployment should get him in range. I am concerned this isn't working, but I feel like that gap's gone up. Vettel needs to get in DRS of Gasly quickly. The medium runners are pitting. The medium runners are pitting. Okay, well, some of them are a little bit higher up the chain to begin with, and I'm not sure we're going to get any of them at this point, but at the very least, we'll get into the train with them and have them pull us along a little bit more as well, and hopefully bypass the hard runner part of this train. Although, there is Pierre. We've got Magnussen, who I think may have been held up just because they're the last one in the pit lane. More importantly, Gasly is on the back of him right now. And he has no DRS on anyone ahead of him. The pit lane has broken up the DRS train. So it is a DRS-less Albon versus Pierre, who is pushing hard. We do have to get an entire pit stop's worth of time on them. Vettel might clear him behind as well.
Good
But
job.
that was easy for Gasly to get past him. Now it's time to get on the back of Stroll. And Vettel did get Albon, actually.
Looks like Aston Martin have just gained a race. Let's have a look.
I didn't see this part of
was
it.
the Aston
This was
Martin.
in the chicane. And, well, that was quite nice, actually. See, as soon as Albon's removed from the train, he's
Moving up a place
unfortunately
there.
going
Excellent
backwards now.
work from them.
And the majority of the pit time that we're going to make now is going to be here. Now, I might just push Gasly on the fuel as well to get on the back of
No
Stroll
saving required.
rather than use DRS. Make sure Vettel stays with him as well.
Copy that.
I'm actually concerned that Vettel's accidentally going to drop Gasly. Other way around, sorry. Gasly's going to accidentally drop Vettel. We should bunch up again at some point, and I think Vettel did get DRS. He did, so that's good news. Gasly didn't on that stretch, so that's going to help massively there. Okay, so we're now into range of Stroll, so I think we can pull back on the fuel again. We'll just use that when there's a bigger gap to try and push
All
for.
okay on fuel.
So yeah, the target here, run till towards the end and then just have a blitz on soft tyres. So Gasly's coming from quite a distance here to try and get Stroll, and doesn't back out of it. Oh my lord, Pierre Gasly, that was a late break, and I love you for it.
They've
We'll
moved
watch
up a place.
the
We
Aston
can
Martin
take a
man
look now.
overtake his
Now look
teammate.
at
At very
this.
least, he's
Pierre
getting them
Gasly.
points. Oh, what a lovely late break that was. And then Vettel's now staring the back of his former teammate as well.
Gaining a position there.
Lovely work. We're just letting Pierre have some fun here. I kind of want... I don't know where the best place to deploy is, because it's difficult to know where the best place to deploy is here. We'll push the fuel at least. Make sure they don't make any inroads on this straight and deploy here. I kind of want to make sure we clear Stroll as best we can. He is coming back, unfortunately. If Vettel can annoy him, that'd be great. Deploying isn't really doing anything here. Although I don't think they've actually used DRS at this stage of the lap. Come on, Seb. Oh, you nearly had him there. Backed out of it, the wrong spot. Bye, Lance. Ocon's in the pits now. Hang on, is that a hard runner in the pit? No, Ocon was the last of the medium runners, wasn't he? So Ocon's on the pits. Unfortunately, Stroll might get Seb here, although there's double DRS, so they've got the same amount of fuel, so I don't know how they've
Save
got
fuel.
different laps. And there's Ocon. So pushing has got us into tow with Ocon now.
Lift and coast will help.
Hamilton is only 18 seconds off this lot. So Hamilton will easily clear this lot now. And unfortunately, this lot being towed along by Alonso, it seems. Although Norris has broken off it. Gasly's having a look at Ocon at this point. Poor Latifi is at now 18 seconds even off Magnussen. And not far off being lapped, actually. I was like if you saw Russell was second, but he's not pitted yet. Right, Gasly. That's a knock-on in your way. That's somewhat unhelpful to our strategy. Don't really have the... I mean, we could maybe try and harvest. If we push on everything else, we could maybe try and harvest a little bit of ERS and then go for a big push. Problem is Stroll in this train. Okay, ERS not needed, apparently. We are losing time to Hamilton, unfortunately. But now, we'll just, like, partial harvest. Because the issue is, now Alonso, of course. Gasly's up to 14th, temporarily. Gasly's never going to catch Hamilton. It's just trying to catch this train. Alonso, who pitted, has caused a bit of an issue here. Because now they're being towed along by him. I don't know where the hard medium pit stop was, but it's got to be in about 4 laps, maybe. 3 or 4 laps. Probably about 20 odd laps on the mediums. Bloody Alonso. Although the Frenchmen are now line astern. It's Alonso on fresh hards towing that entire group. Although, I mean, Gasly is going 3/10 faster than all of them, and about 8/10 faster than Ricciardo and Norris. Seb is... This strategy for Seb is not working out. I mean, there's no way you get to the end, is there? No, not in that. It's too late to bail on that strategy. Sorry, there was a knock-on my left there. Actually, no, was that... I don't know what happened there, but I think Vettel appeared on my left-hand side and then bailed because he's on don't fight. Someone's had an off. Possibly.
Aston Martin with a great play there. They've moved up a place.
That's not the highlight I was
Let's
hoping
take a
for.
closer look.
I want to see what
Let's
happened
have a
here.
look.
Oh, no,
This was
never
the
mind.
Aston Martin.
I wanted to see the initial part, but I think what happened was Vettel came up my inside and then bailed because he's on don't fight.
And there they go, moving up a
And Ocon
position
was
in
on the
pack.
outside at that time. So we've both got Ocon now.
We've just had a spin.
It's Alonso's span. Perfect.
Okay.
That train
so
is
there
gone.
we have the
That's
Alpine.
now used me. Oh, he's spun there as well. He slowed them all down as well. So that's now used hard at the front of that line.
That's going to be a...
Thank you, Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is now at the back of that queue, and it's now Tsunoda at the front of it on used hards, and he slowed them all down. Pierre Gasly is 24 seconds behind Tsunoda. Admittedly, we do have to do another pit stop, but still, when they pit, they will end up behind. I mean, it's a gamble. We weren't going to get anywhere on a one-stop. We do have to pay attention to fuel briefly, but fortunately, we are somewhat towing this group along as a result, because we can't break this lot. Bottas has gone off. Gasly is now 20... Gasly's now less than 23 seconds behind Zhou. Our problem is now the hard runners behind us. Someone else has spun. Mick Schumacher, I think. No, it's Latifi again. It's just Alonso got past Mick then, I think. Latifi is a pit stop behind us, so we're guaranteed not last. They're pitting. The hard runners are pitting. Obviously, they're coming out behind us, and we do have to pit again. But Tsunoda is now only 21, less than 21 seconds ahead of Gasly, and we're continuing to push the remainder of this race. In fact, they come out way behind even the end of this train. My one concern is the fact that obviously we don't break this train. I'm hoping someone breaks this train behind us. I don't care how many people it breaks it off with, but someone needs to break this train. Like we need a knock-on or a Stroll spin. What would be beautiful is if these hard runners pit, the remaining hard runners pit, and then someone that isn't us crashes and causes some form of safety car. I think that would be beneficial. I'm not certain. Tsunoda and Zhou have continued for another lap. I mean, they're just losing time overall now. They're doing 1:38.5s, although Gasly's only doing 0.6 faster a lap. Someone's gone wide. It's just a wide though, not a crash.
Oh, did someone run wide there?
Oh, Schumacher, who also needs to pit. The last hard runners are pitting now, and I just realised they're the hard to soft runners. Indeed they are. But crucially, they've come out... Oh, unfortunately, Norris actually came out behind Ricciardo, but Tsunoda, Mick, and Zhou all came out separate from each other. I don't know what actually happened with Zhou. He might have had enough with his own accord at some point, because he was the head of that queue of hard runners originally, I think. So he must have had a moment and gone way back. So Gasly and Vettel are now in 9th, but they clearly do not have a pit stop on the remainder. In fact, it's not long before we pit for our softs, so I don't really know what to do. Kind of feel like we need to harvest here, to a degree. I'm going to take Vettel off don't fight, because he has slightly more tyres, actually, of course. And he has slightly more fuel, so I feel like we can use him as the lead vehicle maybe at some point. But I feel like we need to harvest a little bit so we can push on the softs later on and make overtakes. But Gasly and Vettel are now 8th and 9th, although Ocon's just gone past both of us. In fact, we'll use him as the tow from now on. We'll harvest just behind Ocon. We'll use him to speed us up a bit.
Good job.
It'd be actually quite hilarious if Ocon then pulls us away from Stroll. I'm slightly concerned about Bottas getting on the end of this train. But at the very least, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher and Zhou are detached from the back of this, and hopefully we'll fall off. We're never looking at points here, but I'm just trying to look at where 25, 27 seconds gets us. Yeah, it's behind everyone still, but it's only 10 seconds back to Zhou. The fact that Albon's in this train is a problem. We're still harvesting though at the moment. Fortunately, we've now made one train to Norris. Fully charged to both drivers, and there's been an incident somewhere. It's not a crash though, it's not a safety car. It might be within the front 4 drivers. It is, it's Verstappen as Gasly goes past Ocon now. We're not harvesting, which means Verstappen is down to 3rd, and Leclerc takes over the race.
Looks like Aston Martin have just gained a race.
We might as well watch that highlight. We saw it live, but we'll watch it again. The Frenchman fighting here. We could do with a few more cars behind getting past Albon. And that looks like Bottas is having a go. Yeah, so Gasly is 21 seconds off Hamilton. That's never going to be a thing. So, yeah, I mean, it was a dream, but I don't think the softs are going to smash through this lot unless their tyres go massively off towards the end. Nah, they've got 11 laps on those hards remaining. I think they're all going to end up about 40%. Is this Pierre's optimal pit stop lap? Did I just miss Pierre's optimal pit stop lap? Yes, I did. Why wasn't I warned? Okay, we're coming in a pit later. We're coming in a lap later then. Why wasn't I told the pit stop? That was weird. Annoyingly, we're fighting Ocon on this lap, which is going to cost us time overall. It's actually Vettel's optimal lap this time. Actually, just make sure Vettel isn't gone anywhere near. I will set Vettel's up now. Fortunately, no safety car or anything like that's going to help us out, but Gasly comes out 19th because it's just one train. What a DRS heavy track this is. 2.6 pit stop, not bad by F1 standards. Deploy on the outlap. Push the fuel on the outlap. Apparently this was 7 seconds faster than the other strategy. So we're already on 45 with Vettel. His tyres are gone now. We have to use push and we can't survive. Yeah, we can't survive. We had to go for it, but unfortunately the DRS train's too powerful and Alonso pulled some of them along. I mean, we got within, what, 14 seconds of Zhou via doing a double pit stop. Albon's down to 12th. Sorry, it was Magnussen that was fighting Albon at that point. The Vettel's exiting now. Gasly should get past because, A, Vettel's pit stops are a little slower. And there he is. We'll save some on Gasly's in case we need to make an overtake on anyone. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gasly is closing on this pack quite quickly. But there's only 8 laps left. I'm not sure what else I should do. What was the other choice? Maybe just be super conservative instead? Once that train became a train, it was obvious it was going to be a train. Go super conservative instead. Yeah, that's probably what we should have done. We should have gone super conservative and at least tried to keep maybe 9th or 10th. Or just 10th. Yeah, Gasly's getting a second lap here on these guys. But the slower ones are being pulled by Bottas now, who's done fastest lap. Oh, Christ on a bike. So Gasly's first full lap pushing is a 136.1. And this pack are doing 136.2s. Brand new softs are doing a 136.1. Used hards are doing 136.2s. I know they're in a train, but come on. They really need to fix the new tyre bump. They need to make new tyres faster. It's imperative for this game to work to make new tyres faster. Because otherwise strategies like this are utterly pointless. And I've been off camera ever since one of those highlights. I mean, he's going a second and a half faster than Mick Schumacher there, but they're on softs as well. Well, at least we're not paying Gasly anything this week. Sorry, Gasly. Just trying to get Vettel in this DRS train again. Not that it really matters too much. Go on, Vettel. Vettel, are you alright, pal? I don't think it's going to matter because we're not going to catch anyone, but I want Gasly to pull Vettel along at least a little bit in case something happens. Let's make sure he doesn't fight him. Right, you're within a second yet, Seb? Don't know how long I can keep Pierre going slowly. Where's the DRS line? There. You didn't do it, did you? Right, now you are. DRS trains are too powerful. The train finally broke. DRS trains are way too powerful. DRS trains are way too powerful. New tyres are not good enough. People just don't have mechanical failures. There's no way we could make inroads on this race from where we started. Despite having completely new compounds, completely new engine parts, Latifi's still 30 seconds behind us, hilariously. But because Albon's in the DRS, you can see the difference. Albon's been in the train the entire race, and Latifi's 30 seconds behind us. We also just go across the line without being lapped. But we were struggling to stay in that first DRS train, so there was no point not going for it. And actually, we're going to end up within 9 seconds. Whilst this strategy was apparently 17 seconds faster than the original one, we're still 9 seconds behind this train of Zhou, Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher. I dread to think how bad it would have been if we hadn't, but we might have been in the DRS train more if we hadn't gone for it. I mean, it was a race where we just had to try something, because we were never going to get top 10 the way things were angled. We're already in the top 10 because we pushed hard by doing a severe undercut. If we'd gone with a normal strategy, we would have paired with them. We were at the back of that train to begin with. We already got to the front of the train because we did the massive undercut. So if we'd just gone along as normal, we'd have paired with everyone else and still been at the back of the train. We might have overcut. We might have still undercut the hard medium runners and the hard soft runners the way that the rest of the pack has, apart from Norris. But you can see that Zhou, Tsunoda and Mick, in particular the hard soft runners, they did get undercut massively. So I think the best we would have hoped for on the regular version would have been 13-14. Sorry, 15-16. So I don't think we lost out massively there. It looks like we've made a massive mistake, but I don't think we've massively lost out there.
And here's Pierre Gasly, a promising result today.
What do they think we want from him?
Next round, we're moving on to an exhilarating circuit. Formula One will be taking to the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yeah, clearly not going our way this race. We technically went up a place, but that's just because Latifi exists. The good news is McLaren got no points, and AlphaTauri only got 1, and Haas got no points as well. Which means nothing really. Albon just gets ahead of Latifi again in the running order because of that finish, and AlphaTauri just get 1 point. All things considered, a fairly non-existent race, but a bit of a shame for Pierre's home one. Seems we've done the wind tunnel now, and we've done the underfloor research for next year, which means next year's car will be significantly better from the start. But rather than research a new part, I would like to not do that. Design a new underfloor again, because we have the hours for it. The good news is even 40 hours does give us a bonus down here. We'll have 5 of them on it. It's going to take 81 days to do it. 54 if we rush them. And 10s cost a lot for an underfloor. I'm actually going to rush them. I want this as soon as possible, because 54 days, even with the Hungaroring and the mid-season break, might be in that Spa, Zandvoort, Monza block. In fact, it's after all of them. Maybe I shouldn't have done the underfloor, because that's only going to be useful for 6 races. Oh well. Actually, the suspension arrives tomorrow, but there's no more hours left. So if they've got high confidence, but only 7 days before the review, so fingers crossed that should be fine. Anyway, that's it from us. If you enjoyed this race somehow, give it a like, comment, and subscribe below. We gambled, very much didn't pay off. Never mind. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra!